Hello. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Nikki Sneed, and I am the principal at Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Arts Academy. I am so excited for this wonderful opportunity we have this afternoon, and we're going to go ahead and get started right now. Before we get started, I would like to make sure that I mention Toyota and our SMU partnership for today. I just have a few brief things that I
Hello.
with
Good
everyone.
everybody. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Nikki Sneed. I'm so sorry. I think I have some feedback that's coming. I just wanted to mention that I'm so excited about the transition that we're having with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Arts Academy. The staff and the community, everyone is just so excited. We have our new school logo. We've had a lot of wonderful opportunities that we've had with everyone, and we're going to go ahead and get started right now. Before we get started, I'd like to go over just a few housekeeping items so you know how to participate in today's event. At any time, during this community meeting, you'll have an opportunity to submit your questions to today's presenters using the link that's in the chat box. We'll keep the link at the bottom of the screen for your convenience. As time allows, the presenters will address as many questions as they can during the Q&A sessions at the end of the presentation. We will be recording the meeting and we'll share it on our website and the YouTube channel. And now I'm going to introduce our awesome trustee, Henry, to continue.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Principal Sneed, for inviting me on this call. Really excited about hearing about the additions and the renovations that will be happening at the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Arts Academy. So looking forward to getting more information, answering and asking some questions myself, and thank you for inviting me.
Okay, now we'll have Mr. Dan Arrow.
Good afternoon. My name is Dan Arrowwood. I'm with HKS Architects. We are the architects on the new project here at the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Arts Academy. We've been working closely with the bond office and with the campus on this project, and we're looking forward to a successful completion. So I'm going to page through this. Give me just a minute. Why am I not advancing? Give me just a second here. There we go. So, project summary. There are a number of components of the project that we're going to be completing this summer, and those include a new dance studio and new piano lab, improvements to those spaces, a new maker space and renovations to the library, a new ceramics kiln for the art program, some improvements to the auditorium for band and choir classrooms, a number of interior finish upgrades, a new entry sign branding the facility temporarily as we look forward to future phases of work on the project. So construction completion is anticipated at the end of this summer. Actually, construction has already started out there on the site, and looking for the school to be opening in August of 2020. Real quick overview of the site. You can see the existing building and where the new entry branding sign is going to be, as well as a enclosure for a new art kiln that'll be setting just outside the building for those kind of arts activities. This is just kind of a conceptual drawing of the new signage that we're going to have in front of the building. Again, this is kind of a billboard to establish kind of the prominence of this program in this neighborhood. And so continuing to refine this as we move forward, but this is kind of the big signature entry piece that will be, again, kind of a temporary portal into the new building. Floor plan wise, all the colored spaces are areas that are going to be having new improvements, and I'm just going to kind of walk through those. The orange area, actually just as you come through that existing entry vestibule, will be a new makerspace. Adjacent to that is the library and the improvements that will be going on there from a finish standpoint and built-ins and furnishings. The purple area is a dedicated piano lab, multiple piano instruments in there for that program, and then a dedicated dance studio with a sprung dance floor with mirrors on the walls, the ballet bar, and so that'll be a nice space for those type of performance activities. Then the existing auditorium, we're going to be doing some improvements there to support band and choir with some practice spaces and some partitioning and finish upgrades that'll be occurring there. In relocating some spaces, we'll have some new special ed classrooms that'll be updated on this end of the building. And then finally, the art room is going to be renovated as well. And you can see the ceramics kiln that'll be just immediately outside that space. Finish-wise, we'll be doing some improvements to both flooring and wall and ceiling finishes, and incorporating some accent colors that'll be consistent through those special programs. For example, the art program, kind of enhancing the entry into that front office area, the maker space, into the library, the piano lab and dance studio, and then the choir and band space, as well as then upgrading those finishes in the special ed classrooms. Here's just a little bit more detail on how those floor patterns are going to be applied. Here's actually the space as you come into the front entry administration office. New floor finishes, new colors on the window wall and on the walls as well. These are actually applying some of those accent colors adjacent to those spaces, some new lighting as well to kind of upgrade those active kind of spaces. The maker space is actually going to have an overhead door with some glass so that we'll have some transparency to see all those activities that'll be going on in that learning space. And again, some enhancements just at those entry spaces to make them special and kind of memorable spaces. Same thing at the library, looking at trying to bring in some more color, some flooring, some carpeting upgrades, and some graphics that'll be occurring on the walls in that space as well. The band and choir room, again, looking at new carpeting, new acoustic wall panels, upgrades to ceiling and wall colors and down into the floor, as well as an opportunity for some really feature artwork that can occur on this backside of the stage area. And then along to the piano lab, again, just trying to really bring some vibrancy and some energy into the entries, into those spaces, upgrading the finishes, carpeting in those spaces, wall finishes, ceiling finishes. Same thing in the dance studio. Again, really some dynamic kind of accent colors. Again, the sprung floor, which will be in this portion of the room here. And then, of course, the ballet bars and mirrors so that they can use those for those activities. And that is really the big overview. I'll turn it back over to the leadership group to go through anything else. Let's go here. There we go. So if there are any questions, we'll be happy to address those as well.
So we have the link at the bottom of the screen for your convenience. So at any time, we could ask the presenter as many questions as we need to. There's one question. any other questions there.
Looks like there's a question for confirming the time of construction, how long. This phase of the work, all the components that we showed in this presentation will be completed this summer. So it's going to be moving pretty quickly to have this ready for the start of school.
Well, it looks like that was the only question that I saw. I didn't see any additional questions. That was just one thing that I spoke with a parent about, and she wanted to know were there any COVID implications, or was there anything we were going to do as far as construction to pivot from for anything as far as the district was concerned. And I told her that any updates would come straight from us, as well as when we have our parent meeting. She was just inquiring about that. I have another question here. It says, you said this in the first phase. Are there any plans for construction when kids are in the building?
And for this phase of the work, we anticipate it being completed this summer. There will be a subsequent phase that will be occurring that'll be later, actually starting next summer. So that'll be moving forward later.
And that would be the phase two of the project that we'll be given further information about. This is phase one right now.
That's correct.
Okay. So for those of you that are joining us late, we have a link at the bottom of the screen. And we'll keep the link at the bottom for your convenience. So at any time, if you have any questions, we want to address as many questions as we can during the Q&A session. But at any time, you can put your question there. Those of you that are on Facebook, or if you have any questions, please submit them, and we will be answering as many questions as we possibly can for anyone that just joined us late.
Yeah, so for anyone joining late, I'll provide a quick review of the overall presentation. The project summary for the components that are going to be completed in this phase of work: the new dance studio and piano lab, a new maker space, and upgrades, renovations to the library. There'll be a new ceramic kiln enclosure for the art program, as well as some finish upgrades in the art classroom, new band and choir classrooms, uh, various interior finish upgrades, and a new Arts Academy branding entry sign at the front of the building. There will be a kind of a temporary branding for the school as future improvements, phases of work occur as a more permanent completion of that. Construction is actually underway now and anticipating it being completed this summer, summer 2020, in time for school opening in August of 2020. The overall site plan, fairly limited work here. We've got, again, the new entry branding sign, billboard type sign there, and an art kiln enclosure that's just immediately adjacent to the existing art room. This is a view of this kind of portal that we've created at the front entry that'll be, at least for this phase of work, kind of the new entry face of the school. This is kind of a conceptual view. There's some final details that are being worked out on this to meet the city's requirements, and it should be a great new signature entry into this important facility. Floor plan wise, walking around through the school, the colored areas are where we're focusing on the improvements of this phase. The orange area is the maker space. Adjacent to that, the library in green. Just immediately adjacent to that then is the piano lab, where we'll have multiple instruments in that space, acoustic treatments, those kind of improvements. The blue area, the light blue area, is the dance studio with a new sprung dance floor, mirrored walls, ballet bar, all the improvements that go to support that dance program, the dance performance program. Then the light blue area is actually the existing auditorium. We're going to be doing some improvements there so it can function as support for the band and choir programs, as well as some practice rooms that'll be in that same space. And then as we've relocated classroom spaces to accommodate the piano lab and the dance lab, we've had to update some special ed classrooms in yellow down on this wing of the building. That's part of this phase of work. And then finally, the red area is the arts classroom, and some finish upgrades there, and that ceramic kiln immediately outside. This plan's really beginning to show just some of the accent colors that we want to create, some vibrant spaces in that existing building. And you can see where all those occur in the areas that I just described. And we'll look at some details of those as we page through. The administration area functionally remains the same in this phase, although we are doing some upgrades to floor finishes, wall finishes, ceilings, lighting, and really just making that a more welcoming entry element for the building. The art and maker spaces, of course, the maker space will be immediately close to the front entry. It'll become kind of a feature space with an overhead door to provide some transparency into the teaching space, as well as some upgraded finishes both on the floor and the wall and the ceiling. Same thing occurring over in the art classroom with, again, the enclosure outside so we can put the ceramics kiln there, not have to be concerned about the heat that generates. Just a good location for that kind of an activity. The library will have some new floor, wall, and ceiling finishes, as well as lighting upgrades, new carpet, new graphics, all those things that will enhance that library media center kind of space. The band and choir room, again, finish upgrades with new carpet, new wall colors, new ceiling elements to create some vibrant kind of energy in there, acoustic wall panels, and then ultimately the opportunity to do a really nice artistic mural on the back side of that stage space. So we really looked at that as a nice feature for the building. The piano lab, again, really wanting to upgrade the entries into each of these special learning spaces and make them energetic and welcoming and unique to those various programs. Same thing into the dance studio, again, the wood sprung floor, the accoutrements as far as the ballet bar and the mirrored walls, and floor, wall, and ceiling finish upgrades. So that is the big overview. If there's any other questions, I'll be glad to try to respond to those.
There's a question about what is the material from the front of the building, and do we have any idea what will be done in phase 2 of the work?
The material on the front of the building, since it is a kind of an intermediate front entry, is almost like a billboard. So it's a large structure that has a canvas type plasticized material that can be printed with the imagery that we showed in that view. And then for phase 2, there will be further improvements, actually, in addition to the front of the school, that will become the permanent entry piece for the school. So
Yep.
there's a question about improvements to the exterior or the playgrounds.
Correct.
And we, in this phase, other than that entry element and the kiln area, we don't have any exterior improvements. That'll be in the next phase. Same thing for playgrounds. That will be something that will be considered in the future phases.
I just wanted to add that I will be having a parent and community Zoom meeting on next week, and I am so excited to actually share the specifics with the interior design elements. We have new furniture, and of course, we just saw the floor plan, but I think it's going to get everyone excited. We may even put some of it on our Facebook page just to get the kids and the community excited about what to expect, since we can't actually have tours or anything like that at the beginning, and we didn't have any of these things prior to COVID. So that's exciting to be able to share with the community. Oh, there was a question about student drop off and pickup. The student drop off and pickup, since we're not expecting any delays with construction, it will still be the same. We have 2 actual drop off and pickup locations in the front of the building as well as the back of the building. So we have the hardwood, and then we have the front of the building where we do drop offs and pickups. None of those will change. I believe those are all of our questions. So we're going to keep the link at the bottom. And again, excuse me, this will be recorded. This meeting will be recorded and shared on the website as well as the YouTube channel. Oh, there was another question from Principal Stewart. She wanted to know, where will performances be held? The performances are still held in the auditorium, because the auditorium will be a flex space. Even though it wasn't shared with the floor plan and all, the auditorium will still be the same space. It's just that the auditorium will also house the choir as well as the band. So we'll still have the auditorium. So that's still our biggest space that we'll have performances. Thanks for the question. Any other questions? All right, for any updates to this or other projects, guys, we still have the same link, dollarsisd.org/bond 2015 meetings. I believe that will be all if there are no additional questions. All right. Well, good night to all. And again, please look out. We will have the parent and community Zoom meeting. It will be next week. It will be on Tuesday from 6 to 7 o'clock. And even though it is geared toward everyone in the community, all of our parents, I will have a special portion for all of the new parents. So thank you so much, everyone. Let me check.